Couple really good games over the weekend. A couple games that stunk. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills not showing up against the Cincinnati Bengals. And then all of your beloved New York Giants not showing up, not even putting up a fight, and kind of embarrassing themselves. On Saturday night is where we are. So allow me just to say one thing real quick before I bring Evan into the show. They could have lost that game by 50. For me, it doesn't change one iota the progress that this team made, the success they had this season, and whether or not Daniel Jones is your quarterback moving forward, because he is. Good afternoon, Evan. How are you today, kid?
It's still embarrassing.
Agreed.
It still stings.
Agreed.
And I think for a few days, you look at this season differently.
I don't.
But eventually,
yeah,
I think you're right. Eventually, losing by 30, losing by 50, losing by 5, it doesn't make a damn difference. You lost to the Philadelphia Eagles again. But I do understand in the days following that, when they were a joke on national TV, they were. That was a joke. And quite frankly, I don't know if you agree with me, I think the New York Giants quit on defense, and that cannot happen. And they did. Julian Love just missed another tackle.
Yeah.
Adoree Jackson didn't give you that effort.
I mean, you can't give up 270 yards on the ground when you got to a point where you know they're running the ball because they've got a 3-touchdown lead.
Dude, it's one thing to lose to a team that's better than you, and the Eagles clearly are, but I think there was elements of quit in that game Saturday night, and that should piss you off. But there comes a day, maybe it's already happened today for Giant fans, where a loss is a loss is a loss, and it doesn't matter. So ultimately, I agree with you, but I could understand in the days following that train wreck, being pissed and embarrassed.
Oh, listen, you should be pissed and embarrassed because you got embarrassed, and you got embarrassed to a team you hate and a city you hate. And you went in there, and I at least had configured a way and convinced myself not only that the New York Giants would at least keep it close like they did every other game this year other than 1 or 2, and keep it within a touchdown, but that they'd actually win the game 23-21. So shame on me for buying into the notion that the New York Giants were even in the same category, talent-wise, as the Eagles. They're not. And that was an embarrassment. But what a hell of a year, man. And I can't let the embarrassment of Saturday night color my overall thinking about how great a year this was.
I respect that. For me, I wouldn't be there on Monday afternoon. I'm sorry.
Well, they played on Saturday. I've had 2 days.
Okay, it's still not even 48 hours. And there's so much crap from that game that would piss me off. This head coach, who is coming back and is going to be here for a long time, had one of his worst days. I'm sorry.
Yes, he did. He was terrible.
Between the decision,
but he was one of a lot of guys that were terrible.
I get, but he's the head coach.
Okay.
And throughout this season,
I thought you said the quarterback. I apologize.
No, I'm talking about the head coach.
I apologize.
I'm talking about Brian Daboll. I'm talking about 4th and 8. Because quite frankly, when they decided to go for it on 4th and 8, we all knew the same thing in that moment. We all said the same thing, probably to our friends or by ourselves. The game is on the line right now.
I didn't.
You didn't?
No, because I thought it was the right thing to do. Because what you learned later in the game, and what he must have known, I assume he knew. I don't know if he was asked about it today. If he was, we'll find the audio for you. He knew they weren't stopping the Eagles.
Here's the problem with that. Let me criticize, because it's deeper than going for it on 4th and 8. They had a 3rd and 3 right before the 4th and 8. Why, if you know you're in 4-down territory, aren't you running the football again?
I'm agree with that.
Because they decided to drop Daniel Jones back. Hello, Hassan Reddick. He beat the crap out of Evan Neal. 5-yard loss. 4th and 3 is different than 4th and 8. Do you agree?
Yes, 100%.
And if it's 4th and 3, we all agree he should go for it. But instead, they dropped the quarterback back. The pass rush, which was a beast all game and has been a beast all season, schooled the guy who has struggled all year. And all of a sudden, it's not 4th and reasonable anymore. So to me, it's not just going for it on 4th and 8. It's the play call. And it's the idea that the Giants got away from the run immediately. Their shot to win this game was to run the football down their throats. They didn't even give Saquon Barkley that opportunity.
No, because it was, the game was out of control.
No, I disagree. Well, the game's out of control at 7-0 on a 3rd and 3.
I think it felt that way. I didn't hear Dable today yet.
Hold on. The game's out of control, down 14-0 when you have the ball at midfield, and instead of running on 1st down with Saquon, Daniel Jones is throwing a brutal interception. Game's out of reach.
Game's out of reach.
No, after the pick it is.
Yes.
It's
Game's
only
over.
a few examples I know because it's early They needed to run the football to beat that team, and instead, Daniel Jones got sacked twice.
Look, I think the
before
biggest mistake they made was deferring and setting up a possibility. You can't predict it, of course, that the Eagles would do what Minnesota did, go down and score a touchdown on that first possession, and then hoping that you could match it like you did in Minnesota with the Saquon Barkley run. But here's the deal. We can color it any way we want, and none of what you said is wrong. They weren't as good as the Eagles. They're not as good as the Eagles.
No, I agree.
We're talking about a team that, for the entire year to the very end, was not even questionably the class of the conference.
I completely agree with you. But if you're going to pull off a big upset, and this would have been a big upset,
right,
you've got to be flawless, especially early. You can't let things get out of hand.
Yeah.
And those things I cited, and you could say it doesn't matter, they were going to lose anyway. You're probably ultimately right.
Yeah.
But early in a game, you have to keep this thing close. And dropping Daniel Jones back on 3rd and 3 was a disaster. Going for it on 4th and 8 was a disaster. Jones's interception was a disaster. And before you could even, drink your first full beer, though I'm a very slow beer drinker, you're getting your asses kicked.
Yeah, and then it's a wrap. I mean, at no point was it even competitive, and I started doing the mathematical gymnastics in my head about, well, if you score a touchdown here, or if you get a turnover there, or if you get a 3 and out. But here's the thing that bothered me the most, and it wasn't the performance of Daniel Jones. It was the Giants' defense.
Yeah.
Because we've come to rely on the fact that Wink Martindale is as good as it gets as a defensive coordinator. They had Xavier McKinney on the field. They had Dory Jackson on the field, a banged-up Ojulari, and they were as if they were, a minor league operation.
Julian Love missed 150 tackles, and he got beat on the second play of the game. The tone was set. Xavier McKinney slipped and fell on his ass on the Dallas Goedert touchdown. So right out of the gate, two of the guys you just mentioned, they set the tone.
And that, to me, that was more disappointing, that they didn't put up a fight against the Eagles' offense. I'll give the Eagles' offense, obviously, a lot of credit. They've been very good all year. But, man, it's like the defense, and here's the problem. When during the week videos come out of you dancing at practice and playing music at practice and lollygagging at practice and being extremely confident at practice, and then you play like that, that pisses fans off.
And I also thought, and you could throw this out and say, come on, they're getting their butts kicked, they're not as good. I thought they started to quit, dude. They got punched in the face early.
You're probably saying the same thing with different words.
No,
but
I agree. Yeah. Quit's a strong word. But the effort level just didn't feel there once they were down 14-0. And you mentioned the culprits. I mean, Julian Love was a good Giant. And I don't know if this game should change the way you view on a lot of guys.
His contract's up now, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was the worst game he's played as a Giant.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys that would probably take ownership
of that. It may
not
be fair for this one game to kind of define one's career here, but it's a playoff game against the Philadelphia Eagles, and Julian Love played as badly as we've ever seen him play.
Yeah, well, listen, we got a lot to do today. I want to get right to all your calls. You deserve to vent and to be heard. I, for one, I'm not a Giant fan, neither is Evan. And while we're eventually going to get to the same place, Evan will just get there a few days after I get there. To me, it doesn't take away at all from a playoff win against Minnesota, making the playoffs, the realization that you have a very good coach, you've got your quarterback, and a lot of other things. And I think as much as it stings right now and it hurts and you're emotional about it, I do think at some point, whether it's today, tomorrow, whenever it is, you will look back and say, wow, the New York Giants gave us a nice run and a glimpse of what we should start expecting to see more of, which is playoff football.
Yeah, I think we've had experiences with this in other sports where you have a good year, a surprise year, and it just ends in such pathetic fashion.
The Knicks against Atlanta 2 years ago.
The Knicks against Atlanta, my team against the Sixers in 19. The two basketball examples are like the freshest, because I don't think the Yankees have had an example like this, or even the Mets, like where you just are non-competitive, where you get blown out.
And then all of a sudden, boop.
And I'm telling you, just from experience, and I think you're the same way with the Knick end of things, at first you don't want to hear, oh, it was a great year.
No.
You'll get there, and it takes everybody a different amount of time to get there. For me, it's a couple of weeks. For some Giant fans, and I respect this, maybe you're already there.
Well, look, it's easy for me to get there. I'm not a Giant fan.
Sure.
All right, so I have no emotional connection other than I wanted them to beat Philadelphia. Outside of that, I'm over it. And I can see it maybe from a less emotional standpoint because I've got nothing vested in the Giants.
I also want to apologize.
I will accept your apology. You've been very douchey to me lately.
I made a very passionate plea to Giant fans that they should find a way to go to Philadelphia, that it would be so incredibly special if you ever beat the Eagles. It'd be an all-time great moment. You should really go down there. If anybody took my advice and dropped hundreds upon hundreds of dollars to go to that dump of a city and sit there with those people when you knew 5 minutes in your season was over, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And I know that it's just words. What does it mean? I'm sorry. If you listen to me and you did that, I apologize. I feel better now, Craig.
Well, it's not about you feeling better. It's whether or not the fans want to accept the apology.
Well, I'm sorry if you don't.
Like,
what more can I do?
You don't apologize for yourself. You're apologizing because you hurt other people.
I hurt other people, and I'm sorry.
Yes, that's exactly what you did. Best thing Big Mac did was not go to the game, by the way.
You ain't kidding.
Right? At what point during the game were you like, thank God I'm not sitting there right now, even though the tickets were free and all that? At what point were you like, ugh?
The interception.
The interception, not till then. All right.
The interception, then I'm like,
that kind of wrapped it up for you.
That was
quick.
the game. To me, that was the game.
You're the opposite of quick. I would have said it was over on the 4th and 8 play. That was it.
Yeah,
that was it.
I liked him going for it, but I respect your opinion on it. But I liked it. And I think, listen, regardless, get it or not get it, the Giants would have had to have played a perfect game from that point on. And what we learned about the New York Giants in this particular game is that wasn't on the table. I don't know why. Is it because Philadelphia shut the water off in their hotel the night before the game and then claimed that a pipe burst, which is a story nobody's believing? Or was it something else? Who the hell knows? They ran into a buzzsaw, which is why never disrespect the number 1 seed. They got there for a reason.
Maybe we need to give the Eagles more credit than we were giving them a week ago. You were, not me, you were pounding your chest about Sirianni's never won a playoff game. Jalen Hurts has never won a playoff game. He's probably still hurt. That was you, bro. And maybe you shouldn't have done that.
Perhaps I shouldn't have. But I got to be a big boy and stand by it and take whatever verbal or internet beating I've taken all day today and keep it coming. I got no problem with it. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. Like I had one guy reach out, yelling and screaming at me on Twitter. But here's the problem. Every now and then I have a free 5 minutes. And when you attack me on Twitter, I might decide to do, I don't know, a little research into who you are.
Uh-oh.
When you are the backup women's basketball coach at Cabrini College, all right, and you lose to teams like Scripps College that nobody ever heard of by double digits, damn near 20, I might ask the question if the young women you coach deserve better.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
Let this be a lesson. If you go after Craig, you better make sure you got no skeletons in your coaching closet.
All I'm saying is every now and then I have an extra 5 minutes of my day to go take a look at who you are. And if you don't want the smoke, stay off of Twitter. Let me find this guy. I got the guy's name here somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny. But, I do it all in good fun. But there's some people who are very, very upset. They're either Cincinnati fans or they're Eagle fans.
Well, you may get your nightmare scenario.
Oh, that would. By the way, I can't have that. I cannot have that.
It's very much on the table.
Philadelphia-Cincinnati Super Bowl
very much
would not be good.
I just can't wait to hear how you rank the 4 remaining quarterbacks left in the postseason.
That'll be tomorrow morning. Yes, I can tell you who's not coming in first.